Welcome, TBW Clips. I am Tyson. Today, we're going to get into Kamala Harris's economic plan. Let's take a look at this and see if it's beneficial or not beneficial. Let's check this clip out.
Vice
Here we
President
go.
Kamala Harris rolling out her economic agenda. Let's bring in our panel, Stephen Moore, Trump economic advisor and the Heritage Foundation Senior Visiting Fellow, and Lindsay Owens, Groundwork Collaborative Executive Director. I'll start with you, Steve, because it unfortunately both sides have sort of some whataboutism. And I hear tariffs. We know tariffs probably aren't great, and yet both sides think that there's certain times when there's dumping or whatever where it's the only choice that a country has is to actually do tariffs. So you can actually have hardcore Austrian economics advocates that will say maybe it's okay. I'm hearing the same thing about certain price controls now. In your view, are they always bad? Because I'm an absolutist.
Okay, everybody knows what tariffs are, right? They're kind of like a tax on other countries. So if China wants to bring some of their products over, we're going to put tariffs on them. So that means we're going to charge them a fee to do business here in America. That's what tariffs are. It's like putting regulations and higher taxes on companies here. We can't tax other countries, but we can charge them to do business here in America. And that's what tariffs are, if you understand that. So we're paying other countries to do business here. So that means like if you see stuff that's made in Taiwan or made in China, their prices are going to be inflated. They're going to be higher because they're being charged a tariff. So for them to make their money, they're going to have to charge more. Excuse me. So that's what you're seeing in like the fast food industries in certain places when they raise the minimum wage up to $20 an hour. For them to keep making that same revenue, they push it down to the consumer and raise the price. So that's what tariffs does. It just makes other countries pay more to do business here in America.
Sarah, I think that there's shortages and we econ 101. We know how prices are set. That's from supply and demand, and it's just a fool's errand to try to do price control.
No, you're exactly right about that. And I think you called it Economics 100, and you're right. And unfortunately, a major presidential candidate has endorsed an idea that would flunk Economics 100. Almost every economist would agree. I think all of us would agree that price controls have never worked. They certainly were a complete failure in the 1970s when we had major inflation that hit 11, 12%, and the government couldn't get rid of it. But I think what's really frightening to me is that you've got Kamala Harris now and all of her economic advisors who are endorsing an economically dingbat idea. And this really calls into question, it would be like having a football coach who doesn't know anything about the forward pass. I mean, come on, this is basic economics. And what worries me as well is the whole kind of premise of the Kamala Harris agenda is sock it to businesses, that businesses are bad, profits are bad, we have to limit the prices that they're charging. Well, come on, look, this is an investor show. Without profits, you don't have businesses. Without businesses, you don't have jobs.
So they're doing one of Harris's plan is price control, which means the government is going to set limits on how much a company can sell their goods for. So, so if you have high regulations, so let's say you're demanding McDonald's to pay their employees $20 an hour in California. Okay, so now they can't raise their prices because the government has put a price cap on how much you can sell your food for. So if so, I don't know how you're going to make any money like this if the government is putting in more regulations, which means it costs more money for to do business. It costs more money um, to keep your business running because you have to provide more services. So that costs. So that's your regulations. So more regulations, higher costs, and then you're setting a a limit on how much you pay your employees. So you have to pay your employees $20 an hour instead of what was it, 15? So 15, 16 dollars. So you have to pay more money in regulations, more money in labor costs, but you can't raise your prices to make the same amount of money revenue that you were making before. So you automatic. So if they're saying you have to sell this hamburger for $4, you can't raise your price to 4.25. $4.25. You can't do it, even though you have to pay more money now to the government. That's what the price control is going to be doing. They're limiting how much revenue companies can have while charging them more because of higher regulations, higher costs, as well as higher labor costs. So when those things happen, a company can't stay afloat unless you have huge margins. You know, you're still going to be taking a pay cut your business. So that means less growth, right? So you're going to have less. And people are going to cut corners because people want to make money ultimately. That's the whole point of having a business, to make money. I'm providing a good and a service to people who want it, and in return, they're giving me money. That's what I want. So now I can make the amount of money that I want. So now I'm no longer going to sell this product. It costs too much to make this product, and I'm not getting anything in return. So that's what the price control does. Limits the business from making money. They go out of business. Now, when businesses and different items go out of business, that affects your life also. People love being able to do whatever they want to do off of convenience, and that's what a lot of products do. They help us with convenience. So those conveniences aren't going to be there because the government is pricing them out of the market. Let's continue.
This is just a real assault on the whole free enterprise system, and it's troubling that you have a major presidential candidate that would endorse these things.
I'm going to get to you in a second, Lindsay, but I was saying about what we heard about eggs today. It just seems like, Steve, you could sell it to people, to the public, by saying the pandemic was a sort of a one-off, and there were things that were happening that would allow companies to game the system and keep prices up. Right now, there's avian flu. So you could see how companies would say, wow, this is my opportunity to raise prices. But in my view, whatever is the extraneous factor, whatever does it, you're still going to dislocate normal supply and demand by putting price controls on, and you're going to end up with shortages no matter what. But are there times when you can do it? Is there a way of where it's not a bad policy to institute price controls?
No.
Something allowing companies to game the system.
One of the things that everybody says America is the greatest country in the world. One of the things that has allowed America to tout that is because of the free market that we have. The main thing that this would do is stop the free market. The free market allows for products and everything to be sold at lesser prices because they're in competition with other businesses to get your business. But there still has to be a market. the people decide if they're going to pay a certain amount for the product. That decides if the company is going to keep going. If people aren't willing to pay this price for this product, then that product is no longer going to be there. That's the free market. The free market sets the price. If the government does it, you're going to have all kinds of issues just like they're talking about here. But you got to allow the free market to run its course, and that's what has allowed America to flourish the way that it has over any other country. Now, other countries have started to adopt that, not fully, but they have adopted it, adopted some measurements of our free market. Let's keep going.
Yeah, what's especially dangerous about the idea is she's talking about grocery stores and 7-Elevens. I mean, if you actually have, you'll put grocery stores out of business. As you know, they only have 2 or 3 merchants, so you put price controls, they'll go out of business, and people will actually have, not have access to food, which is a dangerous situation. The question, of course, is why they would endorse something so idiotic.
Well,
And I
because
think
it sells, I think. Let me get to Lindsay. Lindsay, and that's what everybody's telling me today is that people want something done. People want something done.
That guy's still talking. Guess they muted him.
Lindsay, is that there's something to that? That it looks like they're taking some action and they're not really serious about taking it too far with price controls?
Look, I listened to the vice president's speech on Friday, and what I heard is someone who's laser focused on lowering costs for American families, particularly the costs that matter most, the cost of a roof over your head and food on the table. And she laid out a couple of proposals. The first thing she said she was going to do is crack down on price fixing by companies like RealPage. This is the data software company that lets corporate landlords collude on rent prices. She said they're not going to be able to do that anymore under my administration. The second thing she said is she's going to do a new federal price gouging ban on food and grocery. This is not price controls. 40 states have price gouging laws on the books. These are red states, these are blue states. This is Idaho, this is Texas.
If individual states already have something in place that will stop people from price gouging, what is the point of having the federal government do it? Because it's 40 instead of 50 states? I mean, what are we talking about here? What's the purpose of her doing this or touting that she's going to do this to lower prices? It doesn't make any sense. If the individual states are already doing it, why do you need the federal government to do a blanket one over the whole United States? It doesn't make any sense.
This is Louisiana. Donald Trump did price gouging laws. He used the executive authority he had under the Defense Production Act to crack down on price gouging of medical supplies during the pandemic. So this is a common sense set of policies. We need a new ban at the federal level on the books. But the reason that she's...
All those things are temporary. There was never anything that was signed into law as far as price gouging under the Trump administration. If he does an executive order to stop to stop medical companies who has life-saving products from, there's no free market there as far as medical supplies and drugs, really. You kind of have to pay whatever they're charging because it's to save your life, right? So that's different from supermarkets and stuff like that, which only have like 2 to 3% margins as far as revenue. 2 to 3% revenue margins. That's not a lot at all. So they're not price gouging. If they were price gouging, their things would be inflated over 50%. Let's keep going.
Proposing something like this is because it works. She successfully prosecuted cheaters after wildfires in California. We just saw Cal Maine, the nation's largest egg producer, was convicted at a jury trial of price gouging. Bird flu is a great example. It is ridiculous if your business model is to wait around for the bird flu and really gouge consumers to rake in record profits. By the way, this isn't about bringing supply back online. At the jury trial, what we found out about Cal-Maine is that they were fanning the flames of this supply shortage, exacerbating it. They were culling the flock. They were exporting the eggs to keep the shortage going here and home in the United States. So I think Harris is exactly right to be taking this on. And by the way, if you're a company who relies on ripping off consumers, you want to be taking a close look at your business model because this really doesn't speak well of you.
Round one.
You know what? Companies will go out of business. Like I said, the free market works, right? So if you have 5 grocery stores and then one grocery store decides to price gouge, and people are seeing that everything costs way more from this store than it does from this store, and they're the exact same product, people are not going to go to the store that's price gouging. They're not. They're going to go to whatever is cheapest. So the stores that are price gouging will eventually go out of business because nobody's going to go there. Now, if you have 5 supermarkets that all raise their prices in unison because of something that has happened in the market, then that's not price gouging. That's not price gouging unless they're all colluding together. I don't think companies are colluding which have the same type of businesses to raise the price. Like I said, the free market dictates how much companies are going to charge you for their product. So I don't think this is going to work at all. I could be wrong. I doubt it. If you think I am, let me know down in the comments. I appreciate you guys for watching, and you guys have a great day.